everybody, it's Incredible Hulk here, and today what I'm going to do, guys, is take you through Neltharion's Lair. And what we're going to do is we're going to learn about the bosses and their abilities in this dungeon, okay? This will make it a lot easier for you guys to run through it at Mythic Plus, okay? And let's face it, we're here to learn, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the Rockmora fight, alright? As you damage Rockmora, shards of crystal are going to fly from his body. And it's going to create this ad called the Blight Shard Skitter. Now, the Skitters only deal melee damage while alive. That's not the problem, though. The problem is when they die. And then they make this choking dust AoE effect on the ground, which is really green, so stay away from it. It's very easy to see, it's very easy to avoid. Now, the next ability is when Rockmora reaches a full mana bar, okay? And what he does is he shatters. He deals heavy damage to all players and knocks them back, okay? Shatter also instantly destroys the existing Blight Shard Skitters, which means that you're going to have choking dust all over the place. So it's very good for your tank to make sure that he pulls any faraway Skitters towards him so that all of that damage is put in front of him and he can avoid it by himself instead of the whole party trying to avoid it. Alright, next he does this attack, and it's very important. This is very tank heavy, okay? He does this attack called Razor Shards, and what you want to do is avoid this at all costs. You want the tank to make sure that the boss is facing him, because no DPS can outrun this boss's AoE. The only way you can really do it is by going to the right of him or behind him. That's the only way you're going to avoid this ability. And what healers need to understand is that when he does his Shatter ability, they're going to have to use heavy AoE heals for this, okay? And the reason being is because it's an AoE damage ability. Just make sure that you're always on par with this guy. Make sure you're always paying attention. You need to pay attention with this fight, or else bad things will happen, okay? DPS, you really need to burn down those skitters as fast as possible. You want to use all your AoE abilities and cleave damage abilities, okay? Make sure they're dead. Make sure they're dead before Shatter, at least, okay? Make sure it's easy for your tank and your heals to easily heal and easily tank that part of the instance. The next boss is Ulrog the Crag Shaper. Now, he has 2 phases in this, and he has like 3 abilities that he'll use against the entire party, okay? One of those is Bellow of the Deep. It'll summon an idol, and it'll deal AoE damage, basically, to the person that it summoned upon, alright? He'll also do this thing called Strike of the Mountain, which it chooses a random player, and they bring these hands out of the ground, which will smack them, okay? You can move to the left or run straight out of this, okay? Make sure you move out of this. It does a lot of damage, okay? He has another ability called Sunder. This deals really heavy tank damage, so tanks are probably going to have to blow some cooldowns on this part, okay? Now, when the second phase occurs, Ulrog will gain a full mana and enters what he calls the Stance of the Mountain. That means he'll turn into an idol in the center of the room. You'll have to follow that idol, okay? Make sure you scroll out with your mouse wheel and follow that idol wherever it goes, because the quicker you find them, the quicker you bring down that idol, the quicker the AoE phase is over with. Because as those idols are up, remember, they're dropping really heavy damage to the entire party with falling debris, okay? So the faster you get rid of that, the faster that part of the fight is over. And then it basically recycles. Okay, now when these idols do appear while the boss is up, what you want to do, tanks, is you want to take that boss and you want to move them close to those idols so that your DPS can do cleave damage. Simply. I mean, you want all that cleave in there, they go down faster, and it doesn't take any attention away from the boss whatsoever. Okay? So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to move on to the next boss. The next boss is Neuraxis. And what she does is she has two phases, really. Well, you can technically say three. What she does at the beginning is she starts dropping pools all over the place. And it's the DPS's job to drop the pools in specific spots, usually in the center of the map. So that when the ads go through it, okay, they're called worm speakers devouts, okay? When the ads go through it, you want them to get stuck there, basically, slow them down in any way possible. Because once they reach her, what they're going to do is cast a spell on her that gives her a buff, alright? You don't want this to happen. So the DPS's job is to beat down these things as fast as possible. Don't give them any quarter. Alright? Another phase she has is Spike Tongue phase, okay? Now, that's when she basically targets the tank, and then she tries to swallow him. The tank's job is to run away from the tongue and make sure that she doesn't swallow him or come in within 20 yards of her at all. You can use these pools, these maul pools, the rancid maul pools, to sit there and basically slow her down so she can't pull you straight in. Make sure you're using that tank. It's a good ability. You don't want to get stuck in her mouth. She'll stun you. Game over. Especially in Mythic Plus. Okay? We're going to move on to Dargul the Underking. Alright? Be mindful this encounter combines high priority ad with frequent movement. And you have to be really situationally aware because there's going to be a lot of things going on. Okay? If you didn't use your Bloodlust or Heroism, or it's up off of CD, use it now. At the beginning of this fight. Okay? Tanks, make sure that landslide is faced away from other players, and that after landslide you're using the proper mitigation to avoid the Molten Crash, because that's a really high damaging ability. And it also causes knockback, so if you properly mitigate it at the right time, you won't get the knockback, but if you can't time it correctly, make sure that your back is against something so you don't outrange the DPS and healers with the boss, okay? Now, there's also an ad that they summon, okay? And that ad is called the Molten Charskin. This ad is based on one person. It'll track one person. That person needs to either kite them into spikes if you have two up, the crystalline spikes, or you need to DPS them down as fast as possible while kiting them. You don't want them to reach you, okay? Another thing you have to watch out for, the reason why I say that you need one of those crystalline spikes up is because of the magma wave. Once that magma wave hits, it does very heavy periodic damage to everybody. All characters in the room, okay? You want to avoid that, so you should be behind the crystals. You should have one crystalline up. If you don't have it up, you might as well call it a wipe because that's the end of your Mythic Plus, okay? And with that, peeps, thanks for joining me on this walkthrough through Neltharion's Lair. Please leave a like if you liked it. Please subscribe if you enjoyed it. And with that, Incredible Hawk out, peeps.